Hi folks, welcome to season 1 episode 6 of Maintenance Motorway. If you enjoy our videos, please go ahead and like, subscribe and share with your friends and family. And today's video we're going to be talking about how to jump a vehicle properly. When you get stuck by the side of the road because you have some kind of battery problem and somebody comes by to help you, it's always a breath of fresh air, right? Yeah, but you need to make sure you have a few things in place to make the jump start a successful event. So one of the things you want to make sure you do is to make sure you have a good set of jumper cables. You also need to make sure you know how to properly jump a vehicle, because if you don't do it the proper way, you end up damaging some sensitive electronics on your vehicle, such as your ECM. Now when it comes to buying jumper cables, it's better to stick with thicker jumper cables. Thicker jumper cables provide less resistance and therefore allow more current to flow through the cable to start your vehicle. We recommend sticking with at least 6 AWG. How to pick jumper cables is a whole different topic, and we're going to be covering that in a different video. But this jumper cable here is a 6 AWG jumper cable, and you can actually find that information on the tag. So if you buy a jumper cable, just look on the tag. It will tell you what the thickness is. If you find 6 AWG, it's okay, you can stick with that. Once we get into more detail about jumper cables in a future video, you have more information as to how to purchase the right jumper cables for a vehicle. You find the sizes on the tag, or you can find the sizes sometimes on the wire. It's kind of hard to show you, but yeah, you should find the sizes on those things, either the tag or on the wire itself. Now let's get into how to properly jump a vehicle. Now before we get into actually going through the process of showing you how to properly jump a vehicle, for our purposes we're going to call this car here the disabled vehicle, because the battery is weak on this one. I hardly ever drive it, so I think the battery is just bad from that. And then this one is going to be our booster vehicle. And this thing is extremely important because you need to know how to jump this properly, because when you get stuck by the side of the road and somebody wants to help you, it is your responsibility to make sure that the vehicle is jumped properly so that you don't have any further issues down the line. Because if you jump your vehicle and you have to go buy a new ECM or a new computer for your vehicle, and then it's basically counterproductive, right? You have to buy a battery and then an ECM, and if you're not lucky, you have to replace the alternator as well, okay? Because a really bad battery can kill the alternator. But anyway, I can tell you how many times we've had in the shop people showing up with computer problems, and then we traced it back and realized that it was a bad jump. Okay, so that is why we're making this video, just to kind of help you guys understand how to properly jump a vehicle. So let's get into it. Alright, so I have the jumper cable laid out. I have one side of the cable on my booster vehicle and then another side of the cable on my disabled vehicle. Now one thing I wanted to talk about before we get started was that if you actually buy a good set of jumper cables, you can find the jumping instructions on here as well. Okay, so just something to know. So now the way to jump this is we need to start with the positive lead on the bad battery. Okay, so this positive is going to go on the positive terminal of this battery here. So there's the positive. You need to make sure you are putting on the positive. All right, you can see the positive sign here if it's clear enough, right there. Okay, positive. So you put this jumper cable on that. All right, and that's the first connection. Okay, jumper cable positive on the positive side of the dead battery or the disabled vehicle's battery. Okay, the positive side. And then we go to this side of the booster vehicle and we connect the positive side as well. So we start positive on the other side and then we come positive over here. And then still on the booster vehicle side, we need to connect the negative, okay, to the negative side here. Okay, make sure you have a good strong connection there. And then we're back to the disabled vehicle side. Now this jumper cable does not go on here. Okay, don't put it on the negative side. You don't want to put it on the negative side, because when you put it on here and the battery starts charging, it gives off a hydrogen sulfide gas, which is explosive. Okay, and when you're taking these things out and putting them on, they create a spark. So if it's explosive and then you're creating sparks, that can be a recipe for disaster. Okay, so do not connect it to this side here. what you need to do is to find a good strong metallic point on the engine so you can hook this up to, and that's going to act as your ground or your earth. Okay, so let's try this point. All right, it's nice if we don't have to deal with all this little rust, but that should be enough. So let's just hold it onto this side here. Okay, so that should act as a good point for our earth or our ground. So now we're ready to start the booster vehicle. Okay, we want to start the booster vehicle first. So what we want to do now is go ahead and start our booster vehicle and let it idle for about 3 minutes, and then we're going to go ahead and raise the RPM to about 3,000. By doing this, we're kicking in the alternator of the booster vehicle so that we're kicking it so it can kick into max charging, and it can charge the battery to the max. Okay, so that can help us boost this vehicle here. Okay, so let's get to that. Let's start the booster vehicle. Alright, the booster vehicle is on. We're gonna let this sit for a few minutes. About 2-3 minutes should be more than enough. Alright, so here we are. We're gonna try to raise this RPM to about 3,000 RPM. Hold it there for about 10 seconds, and then we will go ahead and start the other vehicle. Okay, so here we go. Alright, so what that is doing is that it's going to let the alternator kick in full force and charge the battery on this booster vehicle. Okay, on this booster vehicle, so that we can have enough juice on this one to try to start the other one. So let's go start the other one. We're going to leave this one on while we start the other one. Okay, alright, so we're in the other vehicle now. We're going to try to start this one. Let's go. The lights are on, so let's start. There we go, it started up. So now the alternator for this vehicle has kicked in. It's going to try to charge this car because it will notice that the battery is low. So this is exactly why you don't want that negative battery terminal on the negative jumper cable on the battery terminal, because right now that it's charging, it's going to put out hydrogen sulfide gas, and you know, it's going to put out a lot of it because it's charging. That's what happens when the battery is charging. So you need to make sure that you don't do that, because you can easily start a fire. Okay, it happens. Alright, so now this vehicle is on and the battery is charging. Now it's time to remove the cables. These cables need to come off the exact opposite way that they went on. So this is going to come off first. Okay, so this one off. Alright, and then we take the negative on the booster vehicle off. Alright, and then the positive of the booster vehicle comes off, and then finally the positive on the dead vehicle or the disabled vehicle finally comes off. And that is how you properly jump a vehicle. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please subscribe, like, and share our videos if you like them. And this is the end of season 1, episode 6. We will catch you in the next episode of Maintenance Motorway. Remember, don't drink and drive, don't text and drive, and always practice defensive driving. Take care.